Certified Beauties is a new book out from James Duthie that takes readers behind the scenes to some stories that happen both on and off the ice. Some stories you'd likely never get a chance to hear. What was the alligator about there? Okay, I feel like we had the wrong video. Joining us now, the one, the only, James Duthie. James, apologies for the video that ran there. I was entirely thrown off by that. I mean, you're a certified beauty. That gator was a beauty as well. But the stories in this book, I mean, you came out with volume 1, and then all of a sudden you get overwhelmed with even more stories from these NHLers. Like, how fortunate are you to get these like firsthand accounts of some of the wild stuff that happens in the locker rooms, on the ice, and sort of behind the scenes?
Yeah, really lucky, Nick. It's the reason when I set out to write this book, the goal was to just get stuff that people wouldn't hear and take people behind the curtain. So if you and I got to sit down for a beer with Sidney Crosby, and we'd say, just tell me one great story. And the stories that they don't tell in the normal interviews, hopefully. But by the way, that gator was part of a real story. Okay. I don't want to give it away completely, but Darcy Hordichuk, one of the great characters I talked to, was injured one time. He was living in Florida playing for the Panthers, and a gator was creeping up. He lived on one of those inland waterways.
Oh, yes.
And they thought it was going to eat the neighbor's dog. So they decided, as hockey players would, to capture the alligator. So he basically jumped on his back, and they were going to take it and free it in the Everglades. But at the last second decided, wouldn't it be funny if we dropped it on Roberto Luongo's porch? So those are the kind of stories you sometimes get in this book.
Okay, and just so sort of everyone knows, what happened here, James, was, live television. The cameras were moving. I couldn't really see it. I couldn't even see the teleprompter, so I had no reference to kind of what
I can see why you would be confused when you saw an alligator in the middle of hockey video. So there you go.
And every now and then mistakes do happen. Okay, so James, this is so much fun here. Like you said, it's like hockey players unvarnished. It's kind of, I think, the way we sometimes picture them, but we don't often get these stories. So how did you manage to coax these stories out of these players and get them willing to actually kind of go on the record about the hysterical hijinks that happens?
Well, that is the challenge sometimes, Nick, though I think, hockey players sometimes have this reputation of being boring. And I think if, you're watching a Leafs game and the intermission interviews we do where it's all about getting pucks deep and those kind of things, they can be boring. But I've always argued that if you get them away from that environment, away from the rink, they love to tell stories. And hockey is a sport that breeds stories because the long seasons and the gladiator nature of the game. And so my philosophy has always been that at least every player and coach has one or two awesome stories. And that's what I set out to do here. The one you're seeing right now is about a prank that Brady Tkachuk played on Claude Giroux that went horribly wrong and almost lost them in the NHL game. So, but there's also, it's not just about jokes and pranks and capturing alligators. There's no rules when I ask them to tell me a story. There's a lot of heartwarming stuff in there. One of my favorite chapters is about the Gaudreau brothers, who of course passed away so tragically last year. And there was so much sadness around that story that I wanted it to be a sort of a happier story their kids could read someday. So I asked 21, of their close friends and family members to tell just great stories about those two guys, what they were like growing up, what they were like as people. So there's hopefully I like a book where you can laugh on one page and maybe cry a little on the next, and hopefully there's a little bit of that in Certified Beauties.
Yeah, I really love that you did that. It's a beautiful thing indeed. Certified Beauties out now. James Duthie, you see him on TSN on the panel all the time. That's James Duthie. Thanks so much, James. Good to talk to you. Good luck with the book.